Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely demystify estate planning. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. You're sitting there like, isn't that just a retirement project for my grandparents? Well, I've got some news for you. We're going to see exactly why estate planning is actually an urgent 5-minute task for young adults. We'll explore the hidden risks of just doing nothing, and I'll show you the absolute simplest way to protect yourself and your family, starting right now. Let's dive right in. Look, most of us hear the word estate and immediately picture, sprawling mansions, massive trust funds, and huge investment portfolios. We see it in movies and think, well, I barely have enough in my checking account to pay rent this month, so I definitely don't have an estate. But the legal reality? It's actually much different. And honestly, it catches millions of young adults entirely off guard every single year. Not just for retirees. So let's redefine what an estate actually looks like for a young adult who's just entering the workforce or heading off to college. Spoiler alert, you don't need a mansion. If you have a basic checking account, an old summer job 401k that you haven't thought about in years, a used car, a crypto wallet, or even a digital gaming account where you've spent way too much money on cosmetic skins, congratulations, you have an estate. Even social media profiles full of irreplaceable digital photos count. If you have any of these things, you've got a digital and financial footprint. And that means you have an estate that really needs your attention, because ignoring it has real, tangible consequences. Section 2. The missing beneficiary. To understand why leaving these everyday accounts unprotected is so incredibly dangerous, let's look at a real-world scenario from our source material. Meet Jordan. He's 22 years old and just landed his very first full-time job. Like most of us on our first day, he gets absolutely overwhelmed with a massive mountain of new employee paperwork. He gets to the 401k enrollment, sees the beneficiary form, and just decides to skip it, thinking, I'll do it later. Which is a completely normal reaction, right? I mean, who wants to think about death at 22? Tragically, Jordan never actually gets around to it. He passes away in a car accident 2 years later. At the time, he leaves behind a hard-earned account balance of $8,500. Now, it's not millions, but it is a significant chunk of change that he worked really hard for. And naturally, you'd think that money would just seamlessly go to his grieving parents to help out with expenses, right? But unfortunately, that's not what happens. The immediate financial damage caused by leaving just one single line blank is pretty staggering. Because Jordan didn't name a beneficiary, his 401k defaults to something legally called his estate. His family can't just call up the financial institution and claim the money. Nope. They are forced to hire an attorney, instantly losing $2,100 of a small balance straight to legal fees. Over a quarter of his savings is just gone. Poof, lost to legal fees all because of one blank line on a form. And the wild part? The financial hit is only half the tragedy. On top of that painful loss of money, his grieving family is dragged through a stressful, bureaucratic nightmare. They have to file paperwork with the court and endure an 8-month wait before the remaining funds are finally released. Just imagine that. 8 whole months of legal back and forth while they're just trying to mourn the loss of their son. The real villain in Jordan's cautionary tale is a legal process called probate. Probate is a court-supervised procedure, and it's exactly where your assets end up when you fail to explicitly name who should receive them. Because you didn't leave a clear roadmap, a judge essentially has to step in and play detective to figure out who gets what. And let me tell you, the courts do not work quickly, and they definitely don't work for free. It can take months, sometimes even years, and drain thousands of dollars from whatever assets you left behind. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is the staggering difference between these two paths. On one side, you have probate, court-supervised, delayed by 8 or more months, and costing thousands. On the flip side, the direct beneficiary route. If Jordan had spent just 5 minutes writing his mom's name on that original HR form, his money would have entirely bypassed probate. The transfer would have been private, totally free, and the full $8,500 would have arrived in her hands within weeks, with absolutely zero court involvement. Section 3. When you turn 18. So this lack of automatic protection actually points to a massive legal pivot that happens practically overnight. The exact moment you turn 18 in the United States, you cross a legal threshold where your parents are instantly locked out. First up, medical privacy. Your parents can no longer automatically access your medical records or make healthcare decisions for you. Second, financial accounts. Banks cannot legally discuss your accounts with your parents without your explicit permission. And third, legal decisions. Nobody has the automatic authority to manage your affairs. You are, legally speaking, entirely on your own. Think about what this actually means in an absolute worst-case emergency scenario. If you're incapacitated in an accident, hospitals literally cannot legally consult your parents on your care.
Your family can't access your bank account to pay your rent or keep your bills current while you recover. Without explicit, pre-written legal authorization, like a power of attorney, your family's hands are legally tied, right at the exact moment you need them the most.
Section 4, the 5-minute fix. Now, I know all this legal talk sounds super daunting, but as our source material points out, protecting yourself and your family from this lockout is incredibly simple. You don't need a fancy lawyer or some massive budget. The absolute best money tip you can follow when opening a bank account or starting a new job is just to fill out that beneficiary field immediately. Naming a parent or a trusted sibling literally takes 5 minutes. It costs you absolutely nothing. But the peace of mind and the massive legal headache it saves your family, that is genuinely priceless.
And hey, you don't just do this once and forget about it forever. You need to treat this kind of like routine vehicle maintenance. You've got to update these beneficiary designations whenever you hit a major life milestone. If you get married, go through a divorce, welcome the birth of a child, or, heaven forbid, experience the death of a previously named beneficiary, it is time to log back in and take another 5 minutes to update your forms. As your life changes, your estate plan needs to change right along with it.
We've seen the painful costs of ignoring this, and we've seen how remarkably easy it is to fix. So, I'll leave you with this one question. Knowing it takes less than 5 minutes and costs absolutely nothing, are you going to let your hard-earned money get trapped in the courts, or will you log in and check your accounts today? Take 5 minutes, name your beneficiaries, and take control of your estate.